Oh, I thought I had a friend for moral support, but she's gone. She's deserted me. I don't know why I'm so nervous to film this. Well, hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I've actually only ever done one Q&A on my channel, and it was sat right here, so it felt quite fitting to do it in the same place. I guess quite an exciting video. For those of you that don't follow me on Instagram, I am pregnant. Still feels so weird to say out loud. I basically done a quick Q&A on Instagram a couple of days ago, and I thought I could go into a little bit more detail on stuff on here rather than bombarding Instagram with baby talk and pregnancy stuff. I'm really conscious about kind of a lot of people that follow me don't care about baby stuff. I feel like obviously people can then have the option to watch a YouTube video or not, depending on whether it interests them. I'm gonna do a Q&A and kind of talk through some of the questions. I put Q&A up on Instagram obviously, and yeah, kind of go through the questions that I was asked, answer some in more detail than kind of I have on Instagram, and update you guys on life. The last video on my YouTube was Hawaii, and that was 2.5 months, no more, yeah, about 2.5 months ago now. Yeah, let's get straight into the questions. It's always hard to find like a question to actually start with, so let's start with, when are you due? I feel like that's an easy one to start with. So I am due in February. I don't actually want to say the due date. That's really a boring thing to start with, and honestly I'm not going to be one of those people that hide a lot on purpose, but just my due dates changed. I've had 3 due dates already. I have the one that you kind of go off of the first day of your last period, and then we had a 7-week scan and they changed the due date. They pushed it forward a couple of days, like depending on how the baby was measuring, and then when I had my 12-week scan they changed it again. So yeah, I'm not going to say the due date just because it's changed so much and it could change again, and I feel like I've seen a lot of people say online one of their biggest things is they wish they didn't actually say the due date, because obviously then everyone knows when you're due and you start getting those texts like, have you gone into labour yet? Or you don't respond for 24 hours. And I think if you do go overdue and you just want that baby out, that can get quite annoying. So yeah, I'm not gonna specifically say my due date. It's in February, and that is that. Do we know the gender yet? No, we don't. We can actually find out the gender next week. But yeah, me and Jamie have a really strong instinct of what it is, or like gut feeling of what it is. Just, I don't even know why. It'll be really interesting to see if we're right or if we're just completely way off. But yeah, we can find out next week. We will tell everybody when we find out. That was another question actually, is are we going to have like a gender reveal? How are we going to tell people? I have always really wanted me and Jamie to find out just the 2 of us. Obviously people have different preferences of how they tell people, like doing a big gender reveal and finding out in front of everybody, but I don't know, I've just always liked the idea of just me and Jamie finding out together and having that kind of moment, just the 2 of us, and then telling people in a fun way. But yeah, we will do kind of a reveal for our friends and family as well, and obviously like my family's down south, Jamie's family's up here, so whether we have to do 2 separate ones or try and get everybody in one place at one time, the logistics behind it. But yeah, we will find out and we will tell everybody in a fun way. Sticking on the gender kind of topic is, do we have any preferences? And honestly, no, we do not care. I think, being completely honest, before we'd had any scans, I think girls want girls, boys want boys. But then you have the scan and you see its heartbeat and you see it move around. And like at our 12-week scan, it was like, I kind of had to like push my hips up and like wriggle around because it was asleep, and you could see it like moving its arms all around and like kicking its legs. And when you see that, any preference of what you have goes out of the window. You do not care. You're just like, that's my baby. The only like pros and cons we have of both is we massively are struggling with boys' names. We've actually had our girl name since so early on in our relationship, like, and whenever we've spoken about having kids, we're always like, so and so would do this and love this, and when we have so and so, it will go to school here, and like we've always named our unborn child this name. So yeah, we have a girl's name, so we're just massively struggling for boys. I think boys are a lot harder. They're either very, I don't want to use the word common because that's a horrible way to describe people's names, but they're either quite generic and a lot of people have them, or like they're a bit out there. There's not an in-between. And as far as like names go, we kind of want a name that's not everybody's got, but still a name that people are like, that's really nice, rather than, oh, I don't like that kind of thing. Yeah, that's really our only pro of having a girl, is we have a name, we're set on a name. Obviously I could give birth and pop it out and it be like, that does not look like what we was gonna call you. And it could all go tits up, so who knows. But yeah, generally we have 0 preference of what this baby is. We do not care. As long as it comes out happy and healthy and safely, then we will love it all the same. Have you suffered any symptoms? Oh, how long have you got? I honestly went into this thinking, how bad can it be? Like, how bad can the first trimester be, morning sickness be? And I was very quickly humbled and brought back to earth, because I thought morning sickness was going to be one of those things where you kind of felt fine and then all of a sudden come over feeling sick, was sick, and then you felt fine again. Don't know why I thought that. Maybe I'd heard stories of people saying that. I'm a good few weeks into the second trimester and I'm still being sick every day. I wanted to film this video like 3 days ago, and for the past 3 days I've been unable to like move. Just with feeling so sick, like being sick, feeling sick. It honestly, the closest thing I can compare my symptoms to is a hangover, but a hangover that's lasted me like 9-10 weeks. So I have a newfound appreciation for hangovers, because I'm like, well, at least when you're hungover you think, oh, this is done by like 6 o'clock this evening. And now I'm like, oh, this could go on for 6 weeks. Yeah, I'd say sickness has been the toughest thing to deal with. Kind of the first few weeks, it was kind of laying on the bathroom floor for hours. Yeah, not really be able to move or eat or do anything really. I was like a shell of a person. On top of that, I actually did write down in my notes. So my first trimester symptoms I wrote down was sickness, and then kind of going off of the sickness, you have like aversions to a lot of food. For example, I would have a coffee every day before getting pregnant, and as soon as I got pregnant, the thought of coffee, the smell of it, the taste of it, everything about it made me physically sick. I've only actually now started craving it a little bit again, but if it's on a day that I've been sick or felt quite sick, it will send me over the edge. But if if it's a day that I felt okay, I've like been like, oh, I'll have a coffee. But then I'll see stories of like, I can't remember who it was. I saw someone post like a bubbling cheese lasagna on their story. And don't get me wrong, it looked lovely. I'm sure it tasted lovely. I instantly projectile vomited everywhere. Like, I can watch stories of food. I've seen somebody in Camden and they've gone and got those chips where they're covered in sauce and onions and toppings. Projectile vomited. Like, I've really struggled with looking at foods. A lot of the time it's like saucy, toppingy foods. I don't really know how to explain it, but food can really make me sick. Like, just the look of food can really make me sick. So yeah, there's kind of been that symptom that obviously falls under the sickness. One of my really weird symptoms really early on, so kind of the 4 or 5 week mark to maybe 8 week, was burping. I was just so gassy burping for some reason. Honestly, I can't explain. But that kind of trickled off, yeah, maybe like week 8. And then my last one has been hormonal acne. Another question was like, what have you struggled with, which I'll go into after this. But I've never struggled with really bad skin. I've been so lucky. But obviously the hormones and stuff that are sky high in your body really brought out like hormonal acne. But yeah, that was another symptom that I had. I think that's also down to a lot of the products that I used pre-falling pregnant. Can't have any retinol, anything like that. So a lot of my skincare had retinol in it, and I always swore by retinol that it really kept my skin clear. But yeah, obviously that is out of my skincare routine. So I've kind of stripped my skincare routine way back to basics. Like, at the minute, I literally have a face wash and a moisturizer. I can go into detail of that if you guys are interested of what I've cut out, what I'm using and stuff. At the minute, it's literally face wash, moisturizer, and then in the evening I might throw in a serum if I'm feeling a bit risky. So following on from that, one of the questions was, have you struggled with anything so far? And aside from the sickness, which is a struggle in itself, obviously it's not nice to just be throwing up all day, every day. I think, and maybe something that gets not spoken about or skimmed past, and I don't know whether, I feel quite like vain saying this, so I don't know whether this is a reason that maybe people don't overly talk about it. But I think in the first trimester, obviously your body's changing, but you're not seeing a bump or anything. Like, you're not, it's obviously so tiny, your body's just changing in ways that isn't rewarding, I guess. Like, now I kind of have a bump, I love it, and like, I don't look at myself and think, oh. But there was a couple of weeks where I just hated looking at myself in the mirror. I obviously had this outbreak of like spots, and I just looked bloated. The first place I put on weight is actually my face. It always has been. So I'd look at myself in the mirror and I just felt like I had this chubby like face with like spots, and I just, honestly, I felt disgusting. And there was just a couple of weeks that I kind of looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, you look horrendous. Like, I didn't want to, I couldn't really leave the house because I was being sick anyway, so it was a blessing in itself. But had I had plans to leave the house, I really don't think I would have, which is a real shame. And I don't know, again, I feel really stupid saying that. Obviously your body is doing like these amazing things, and you have this baby inside of you, and you're like you're blessed to have this baby inside of you. But I don't know, I think for a minute I just didn't really recognize myself. So yeah, that's something that I personally struggled with. I don't know if that's too honest. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want anybody else that's pregnant that feels like that to think nobody else feels like that. Because another popular one as well is, obviously I completely get this, is did I know I was pregnant when I was on holiday in America in all of the vlogs. Obviously I was drinking and doing shots of tequila and stuff. So the answer to that is absolutely not. We found out about 4 days after we got back from America. So we actually fell pregnant. I'm actually going to try and bulk some questions together, because a couple of the questions I've seen is like, how did you think you were pregnant? Like, what made me do a test and things like that. So I'll kind of group this whole story together and hopefully it answers a few questions in one. But basically we fell pregnant somewhere in America because my due date has changed a couple of times and I wasn't taking any ovulation tests or tracking anything. We have no idea what destination it was in. Originally we thought it was in Miami, but then obviously my due date's changed quite a few times, so I actually now think it's in New York we fell pregnant. I was due on my period the day after we got home from America, and basically I didn't come on then, and we kind of got home, I can't remember the exact days now, it was either like this, I think we got home on the Monday early morning, and that was the day that I was due on, and then we flew to Portugal on the, but basically flying has always affected my periods. If I was in the air, it can bring my periods sooner, it can delay my periods. So that was actually why I didn't rush to take a test straight away. I gave it like 3 or 4 days, because yeah, when I was in Portugal, which I didn't actually post online or anything, we just had a couple of days with Jamie's family that was out there. I kind of said to Jamie like, oh, I've not come on, but I was like, it could be because we spent so long, like obviously flying home from Hawaii, we was on a plane for like 18 hours, so I was kind of just like, it could be that, wait until we get home from Portugal. We was only in Portugal for 2 nights, and then I did a test when we got home. That was really only the kind of signal that I had that we were pregnant, and then I did a test and we were, but I stopped drinking as soon as I didn't come on, basically. So the whole time in Portugal I think I had like 1 glass of sangria, and I think in the back of my mind I was just like, oh well, if you are like, it's not good to do. Okay, so following on from that, I feel like this one follows on quite nicely. Did you proactively do anything different to fall pregnant during your trying to conceive journey? So I actually answered this one on Instagram, and I mentioned on there as well, this is a topic that petrifies me to speak online about, or speak about in general, because you never know what people are going through around you. You don't know who's trying for a baby and struggling. You don't know. Yeah, I want to be completely honest and open about our journey, but I don't want to make anybody watching feel upset or stressed, or I think I'm just aware of how much of a sensitive topic it is and how difficult it can be. I mean, I've got friends that have struggled to conceive. I've got very close family members that have gone down IVF route and struggled. If you've not followed kind of Taylor Blue's journey on YouTube and Instagram, Desi Perkins, like, I've never been naive to think that getting pregnant is easy. You are on your trying to conceive journey, and maybe hearing stories about people falling pregnant is triggering to you or likely to upset you or cause you any stress or anything, I recommend just skipping the next minute or so, because yeah, that is the last thing I want. I don't want to make anybody feel crappy or anything hearing our journey. With ours, we went down the route where we was very prepared for it to take however long it took. We had in our heads, you're not going to fall pregnant straight away. My mum and dad, it took a year for my mum and dad to fall pregnant with me. It took 2 years for Jamie's parents to fall pregnant with Jamie. So we was just very much like, this could take 6 months, this could take a year, this could take 2 years. Like, whenever it happens, it happens. We didn't want to track anything. We didn't want to force it on ourselves, like, oh, I'm ovulating now, we need to jump into bed right this second. Like, we was just like, when it happens, it happens. And I come off of the implant that I was on at the beginning of the year, just to get that out of my system. We'd obviously spoken about having children and when our ideal time frame was and all things like that. And then basically a time come that we was just like, right, if it happens anytime going on from now, we will be happy. And we just stopped being careful. We didn't want to revolve our lives around getting pregnant. Like, I think, so yeah, we didn't change our lifestyle, our diet, stop drinking, anything like that. We was just like, we are going to carry on. I mean, neither of us are heavy drinkers. We never drink really at home. Obviously, Jamie's an athlete, he can't drink. It so happens we fell pregnant on a holiday where of course you're gonna enjoy yourselves and let your hair down. I think that's kind of it on that. Moving on from that, next one is pregnancy cravings. Have you had any? I have. I've not had loads and I've not had weird ones like chewing chalk or things like that. Honestly, my biggest craving has been fruit. I am obsessed with plums, raspberries, passion fruit, pineapple, strawberries, blackberries, blueberries, you name it. I can't get enough of fruit. And weirdly, like, the more sour the fruit, the better. Like, really sour, like firm plums, sour blackberries, really like tart passion fruit. Literally my mouth is watering at the thought. And then, like, I've always loved tomatoes, to be fair, but like at the minute I just chop up cherry tomatoes and make like a lemon dressing, and I will sit and eat cherry tomatoes like there's no tomorrow. Went through, quite early on, I went through a phase of pick and mix sweets. I ordered like 3 kilograms worth of pick and mix sweets on TikTok shop. And like more of the savoury side, I don't know if it's a craving so much as the only thing I felt I could eat when I was being sick was McDonald's chips. Again, you kind of relate it to a hangover. When you're hungover, you kind of just want that salty, carby kind of food. So when I was like really not well, but knew I needed to have something in my body, I felt like I could keep McDonald's chips down. And a lot of people have said, like, I'm really sick in my first trimester. Is there anything that you recommend and found that works? That was what worked for me, was McDonald's fries. Really, that's been fruit, pick and mix sweets. I'd say I've fallen back in love with Maltesers. It's no wonder I'm getting a chubby face. Like, have you thought much about birth? Are you scared for your labour experience? Do you have any plan? Oh God, yeah, I try not to think about the birth. The longer I think about it, the more I'm like, oh my God, I don't, like, the pain, the trauma, like, I just try not to think about it. I don't really have a plan or an ideal plan. As long as this baby comes out healthy, safe, happy, I don't care. Like, a lot of people go in like, I want a water birth, or I want this, I want that. I honestly will just, I think I'll honestly just go into it trusting what my body tells me, what I'm advised to do by the doctors and midwives and stuff. I'm really not that fussed. There's pros and cons to everything, and I think, yeah, like I say, as long as that baby comes out safely, I don't care. And I think I'm too early to really have the conversations with the midwives where I fully like maybe have to pick an ideal scenario, but people pick an ideal scenario and it changes on the day anyway. So I'm really trying to go into everything very open-minded, not getting my hopes up on anything and just seeing what happens. But yes, I am petrified about the labour experience. I don't really want to think about it too much. This is a good one. Do you plan on showing your baby online? This is something that me and Jamie have to talk about more in depth and maybe when the baby's here. I think I've seen a lot of stuff online recently that is petrifying, and it makes me not want to show the baby online. I think it's really tough because sometimes I think the more you hide something, the more people go out of their way to try and find it. See, acting like I'm like Kylie Jenner here and people are gonna go out of their way to try and find my baby. I'm not saying that at all, but you know when something's more hidden, people are then more inclined. I also think I can't stop friends and family posting pictures online. I think it's hard to stop friends and family posting pictures online. I think it's a decision that me and Jamie are gonna have to come to together. Obviously, like, we're gonna love this baby so much. We're gonna be so proud of it that we're gonna wanna share it. Like, we're gonna think it's the most beautiful thing ever to us, and we're gonna wanna show it off. Like, it's the best thing that ever happens to you. Like, we are gonna wanna show off this baby. And yeah, I don't think we plan on oversharing too much. So if we do decide to show its face online, we'll probably keep it to as much of a minimum as we can. But yeah, I think it's really difficult, and you can say you'll do one thing and then do the other. I don't know, I think it's a really difficult one that we will have to come to as an agreement together. Will baby take Jamie's surname? Yes, baby will take Jamie's surname, not mine. I'm trying to get through as many as I can. Sorry, the camera died, so I'll answer a couple more, hopefully some more. These have been really long-winded answers, so I'll try and do a few more like quick. You said, is this one of the reasons that you left your corporate job? And the answer to that is no. The only reason I left my corporate job was because I couldn't do it from up here. So that was the reason I left. That wasn't like the reason I left at all, but again, it was kind of, when we discussed having children and stuff, it was a reason that now was a good time. We have a baby moon. I hope so. With Jamie's work, he doesn't get kind of to choose his time off. He only really gets, any longer than a couple of days, he only really gets May and June off, and obviously the baby will be here by then. But he does get the odd few days on international breaks and stuff, so we're hoping that we'll get away in October time, hopefully. But yeah, hopefully we'll get at least maybe like 3 or 4 days where we can just enjoy some time together, where we can just relax and enjoy getting away. But as far as like a proper exotic baby moon, that's probably not on the cards. We will do anything longer than kind of like a week holiday, wait until kind of May, June time. So I think we're already kind of planning to do Portugal next year. I have a family apartment in Portugal, and it's just kind of home from home for me. So we were thinking kind of going out there for maybe a month, and then we can have family come out like as and when they want to, and it's not loads of upheaval and stuff. And like I say, I know it really well. I mean, I've been going there since I was a baby myself, but Jamie knows it really well there, so we just feel safe there, I think. There was also another couple about travel, but I can't find exactly how it was worded, but it was kind of along the lines of, obviously travel is such a big part of my life, and do I feel like, I think it was like, do I feel like I'm gonna miss out on traveling, or will I travel with the baby? And like, absolutely, we want this baby to see as much of the world as possible. And I think I'm so lucky that I've been to as many places and traveled to as many places as I have at the age that I am. I think, like, will I miss it? Of course. Like, me and Jamie, like, it's not going to be as easy for me and Jamie if he gets 2 days off to just be like, right, let's just go to Paris tomorrow, let's go to Milan for the weekend. Like, when you have a child, it's like, is it as easy as that? Will we give it a good go? Probably. But in my sensible, non-naive head on, it's not that easy when you've got a child. So I think, yeah, maybe we're not going to have as many trips as we have done, but also I think, like, I think the way one of them was worded, one of them, like, the way one of them said kind of like, do I feel like I'm missing out, or having a baby's kind of ruined me traveling? And no, not at all. Like, I think it was in 2019, I did a trip every month, and I went here, there and everywhere. I flew to Lanzarote to see my friends for like not even 48 hours. I literally did everything that I could, but I was 21, I was single, I had no outgoings. Like, all of my money was spent on holidays and traveling and trips, and I've just got to a point now where I don't have that luxury of just being able to fly here, there and everywhere. And also, like, I was single, I went away with my friends. All of my friends now have boyfriends, they're all saving to move out, or have moved out and have mortgages to pay, are pregnant themselves, all of these things. Like, and yeah, I just feel like, for me personally, I've got to a certain point where I see my friends all the time, but everyone's got their own lives and their own responsibilities and commitments and stuff, that traveling with my friends isn't really an option, which leaves me traveling with Jamie, which I can only do when he gets the time off. So naturally, traveling for me has become less of a thing. But like, when my mum and dad go to Portugal, am I going to still gate crash their trips? Absolutely. Am I going to take the baby? Absolutely. It doesn't mean that we're not still going to go away and take the baby to as many of these places as possible. Like, me and Jamie are both on the same page. As often as we can get away, we will. I said to Jamie, I want our baby to learn to ski. I learned to ski when I was 3, like, and I'm so glad my parents forced me into ski school. Like, I want that for our child. Like, all of these things I have. So yeah, the answer to that question is absolutely not. Is having a baby or anything ruining my travel? Another one, when did I start showing? I've actually only just started showing. This is the bump. I wouldn't even say it's like proper showing. But again, that's normal. I think you don't actually start showing, like, unless you've had a baby before, you don't actually start showing until, they say you don't actually start showing until like week 12 anyway. So yeah, I've got a little bump, but you don't look at me and think pregnant yet, but I'm not expecting that for another couple weeks yet. Honestly, I think that is the main ones. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video.